every accomplished journey has a starting point.
Any such family would believe that giving education to their kids is the greatest inheritance that they can give. So I turned towards studies and I became a chartered accountant.
Do you think that they must undergo some years of theatre acting in order to become a very fully grown or a very cherished actor?
I think the history of arts is also something that you should be very much interested in knowing, because it hones in you a kind of a discretion about what you consider to be a good usage of creative mediums, how you consider what is good acting versus bad acting.
Have ever given it a thought कि अगर मैं ये दोनों नहीं होता तो शायद कुछ और
I mean, I'm already acting for my supper. So, and acting, I do believe I have a long way to go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Perspectives by DGMC, an exclusive podcast series where wisdom meets aspiration. I am Sanman Hudgikar, the podcaster. Today, we are delighted to welcome Mr. Darshan Jariwala, a distinguished actor, theatre artist, and a celebrated figure in the Indian cinema and television industry. With a career spanning over 2 decades, Mr. Jariwala has brought unique characters to life, captivating audiences with his depth, versatility, and commitment to craft. He is widely recognized for his portrayal of Mahatma Gandhi in the film Gandhi, My Father, a performance that earned him the National Film Award for Best Supporting Actor. Beyond cinema, he has also made impactful contributions to theatre and regional media. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out time and being there with us today for this episode.
Pleasure is mine.
How's your day going, sir, so far?
Great, so far, so good.
So, sir, just to start off with, every accomplished journey has a starting point. So, can you tell us a little about your education and what type of upbringing you had and how it ended up into a successful career in acting?
Actually, the successful career in acting part happened quite instinctively. That it was not planned. Not planned in the sense that as a boy coming from a typically middle class, upper middle class family background in Gujarati, a Gujarati boy whose father was not a businessman, but a person in service. So, but my parents, they were in Gujarati theatre even before uh, I was kind of conceived. So, the affinity and the familiarity with growing up in backstage when the play is going on stage was always there when I was very young, since I was in the first or second standard.
Oh.
But as I said earlier, uh, the parents of any such family would believe that giving education to their kids is the greatest inheritance that they can give. And academically, I was doing quite well. So I turned, towards studies, and I became a chartered accountant. But all the while, theater was constantly going on as a an underground spring. I was acting even in Gujarati professional theater even when I had entered college and finished 1 year of college at that time. So uh, the atmosphere at home was regarding theater. It was we were quite aware of the Gujarati theater movement of amateur theater that was going on when I was very young. There was no professional theater. Of course, professional theater happened to me when I was in college, as I said, and that was around 1976. So it's been 50 years of Gujarati theater that I have kind of gone through as we speak today. So But side by side, academic endeavor was also, taking shape. I turned a chartered accountant and then dabbled in some business. All that happened. It was only at the very ripe age of 40 that I decided to become totally, focused as a self-employed professional in arts. So whether it's be films, theater, television, everything. But that happened quite late. That decision for me to not do anything else and to just pursue acting happened quite late.
But sir, I must say that numbers and creativity and acting is a very rare combination. So ever you had these thoughts ki you are a CA, so then into this creative field, because acting is something that is a very a job that requires a lot of constant work. It's almost in every profession, I would say. But didn't you think that becoming a CA is a
No,
safer option?
no, no. I think I turned into a chartered accountant because of that momentum that took me through there. And but I realized that it was not my calling. The core competence was not about that. Though of course I am quite good at numbers. Anyone who has been a chartered accountant will kind of endorse that view that it is a tough thing to become a chartered accountant. You need to know all the laws, whether they affect your financial balance sheet or not. You need to know economics. You need to study a lot of things. So I am very happy that I'm quite aware of all of that which is going on in the world right now, because I can make some sense of it. But it was theater and it was acting that really kind of was where my core competence is, and it took some time for me to realize that my core competence is not anything else but creative field.
Okay.
So once I knew that, I thought that there is no point in doing anything else but something that I love doing the most. So and safety has never been my
Cup of tea.
yeah. I mean, I've never looked at life in a manner of that very 9 to 5 safe kind of a life. No, I have never looked at it that way. Doesn't That's not my temperament.
You mentioned about your parents, being from the theater industry. So, was it that all your acting skills and your theater skills that you got, is it from your parents, or you also went for a proper training or a formal education into acting?
No, I never went for any formal education in acting. Uh, and very instinctively, I have molded myself. See, an actor's first arsenal, first arrow in his arsenal is observation. How you become a better actor is because if you can observe something without projecting yourself on it and understand the human emotions at play, you can observe people how they react to certain stress, certain way of certain external circumstances. So observation and watching a lot of theater, I think, gave me my confidence also. And of course, craft wise, I was schooled by a couple of very good directors, in terms of the stage craft. So handling your body, handling your voice. Uh, I gained insights while I was on the job. So, and after everything, right now, I am of the opinion that one can learn acting, but acting can never be taught. That is what my
That's a very
conclusion
deep
is.
thought.
Yeah, that's what my belief is. So that's how it happened.
So, do you believe, what would be your suggestion for aspiring actors? Do you think that they must undergo some years of theater acting in order to become a very fully grown or a very cherished actor?
No, I think merely going through theater acting in order to then become an actor on films or in front of camera is a very narrow way of looking at acting. If you want to be really a good actor, you have to read quite a lot.
Hmm.
You have to read a lot of other uh, subjects. Uh, you should be aware of, and I think the history of arts
Hmm.
is also something that you should be very much interested in knowing, because it hones in you a kind of a discretion about what you consider to be a good usage of creative mediums, how you consider what is good acting versus bad acting.
Hmm.
That discretion is developed when you see both kinds of acting,
Hmm.
what to do and what not
What
to
not
do.
to do?
So, and apart from that, one needs to learn languages so that one can read that literature. Acting can never be, you can create an environment inside you as a human being
Hmm.
to be quite aware and quite sensitive to uh, what human condition is all about.
Hmm.
You can even read a report uh, of some war somewhere in a newspaper. Even that will give you some insight about how you react
Hmm.
to human tragedy.
Hmm.
You can read literature to know what people, when they put things down on paper, the impact that they create, because finally you are going to deal with scripts written by some other people,
Hmm.
where as an actor you are supposed to portray it.
Hmm.
So the power of the word
Hmm.
is something that you should be aware of. You should be aware of the psychology of human mind,
Hmm.
and the excesses,
Hmm.
the disturbances, the disruptions that a human psyche can go through,
Hmm.
so that you know what a man who is under a trauma feels like, how he expresses himself.
Hmm.
So, and of course, as many languages as you can master, which in Indian context, it's very easy to have three or four languages in your pocket, right
Hmm.
at the word go.
Yeah.
Because we have this colonial overhang, so we know English so well
Hmm.
that we are conducting this interview also in English. We have our own mother tongue, which is in my case Gujarati. Then I know that I am living in a state of Maharashtra where the official language is Marathi. And then we have a national language which is Hindi.
Hmm.
So, knowing four languages for me is actually par.
Hmm.
Knowing more than those
Yeah.
is something that would probably excite me also. For example, if I would, which I don't, but if I knew Tamil or
Hmm.
Telugu,
Hmm.
the entire literature of that language, the entire history of those people will be open to me.
Hmm.
So I what I do as an actor is I need to develop empathy.
Hmm.
So observation and empathy are the two very basic tools that an actor has.
Hmm.
And in order to develop empathy, you need a vast knowledge of everything that is different than what you are.
Hmm.
You know, in your own beliefs, you have to be very tolerant.
Hmm.
You have to be inclusive.
Hmm.
That a point of view can exist which is diametrically opposite to yours, and still you can give it its space, because that's what will help you. For example, if I have to play a serial killer, now that is 180-degree opposite the kind of the person that I am.
Hmm.
But if I want to do it and if I want to enrich my imagination, I would have read things about a serial killer, maybe, the Zodiac killer or the Jack the Ripper, or maybe somebody down quite close at hand.
Hmm.
Excuse me. Or I would have learnt about the psychology, the pathological behavior, the psychology of people who think that taking life of somebody else has a value for them,
Hmm.
what it gives them, what sense of pleasure or satisfaction it gives them. I have to understand all this. How do I do this? I don't get it out of a textbook. There is no textbook that, that a guide to dummies, how to play a serial killer, a 40-page textbook where you have everything. No, that's not possible. So an actor needs to take from life as much as possible. And in order to do that, you need that, open mind. You need that quest, that thirst for knowledge and information about many things is always bombarded at us. But then what will we choose to, just scroll up, and what we'll choose to read? That is also important. And who decides that? You need an internal apparatus, a sense of discretion to decide that. So, and being an actor is that way very tough. I mean, being a good actor. Anyone can stand up and say that I'm an actor from today onwards. Just look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, Darshan, you are an actor from today. Get out and say, I'm an actor and I'm hunting for work. But I don't think that's really how an actor prepares, So, to aspiring actors, I would say read, absorb, listen. Instead of acting, just observe how people react to different stimuli, different situations in life. Read a lot. Read in more than one languages. Interact with people and try to do it without imposing your own, self-projected beliefs on other people. Empathy is basically getting into someone else's shoes. But then in order to do that, you need to get out of your own shoes.
True.
So that process is very difficult for human beings. If one could learn to get out of your own shoes that you are wearing, then you can step into someone else's shoes.
I am not sure if there is a textbook to be a good actor or no, sir, but I'm sure every aspiring actor should have a conversation with you or someone like you who can guide so much in depth. So yeah, those were really great insights, sir. And the next question, which I usually ask to anybody who is directly or indirectly connected to the theatre industry, is how do you see the theatre industry's future, sir, with the growing OTT, social media, and the Gen Z in play?
You see, every language theatre in India is suffering more or less because of the advent of OTT and other means of communication and other means of entertainment which are right, there on your palm, on your mobile screen. So, but I do believe that there is something about live arts that is very different. It's a hot medium, sociologically speaking. It's a medium where the audience and the performance come together to create that evening. The audience is not merely a passive receiver or a receptacle of what happens on stage. By being there and by responding, they also shape the nuances and the narrative that is on stage. The narrative may remain the same, but the way of delivering it is always different. So I am in despair about the state of theatre currently, at least in Gujarati. But that has more to do with the kind of the cultural bankruptcy, I should say, that we have in Gujarati theatre right now. The other language theatres which I am aware of may have their own sets of reason for, their own decline. For example, Marathi theatre is still thriving quite a lot as we speak. There are shows and then there are, people who derive a lot of satisfaction and probably sustenance from practicing theatre only. And that basically is a better place to be in. I think Maharashtrian theatre is better placed. But Hindi and English theatre also, if you see in Mumbai at least, you know, the it has not been able to translate into vast audiences giving sustainable, alternative, practical alternative to an actor. So theatre has suffered, but theatre will need to adapt. Theatre will need to find out different ways of attracting live audiences and, giving them something more valuable or different to look towards, to look forward to. So hope and despair both. I'm hoping that theatre can turn nimble enough, flexible enough to do that. And right now, of course, my personal pet peeve is because I'm a Gujarati and from Gujarati professional theatre, I very much lament the lack of standards. And we have lost out a great deal on our audiences also. Our numbers have shrunk. And we have a very peculiar system of economic sustenance in Gujarati theatre by pandering to social groups who buy, the entire show for their members, and where the Gujarati producer does not risk anything. And slowly what happens is his choice of plays that he will make and the kind of the plays that he will get writers to write or directors to direct or actors to act in, it slowly is distorted by what he believes is what that particular group of people want. Demand. What is demanded is supplied. But it is a vicious circle. There are many people, audiences out there whom we have lost because they believe that such plays, there is this entire genre called family comedy, where string of WhatsApp jokes are constructed in a story, and it is only those jokes and not the story that is important. And the people who come to lap it up there are the ones who could have responded to something better also. But then the producers believe that no, this is what the people want. So there is no challenge. There is no breaking out of this vicious circle. That's what is right now looking. I'm looking at it and I'm feeling that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've had a podcast with one of the Gujarati directors also. So he had an opinion that he believes that maybe the Gujarati audience is a little over synthesized. And while you spoke about Marathi and Gujarati theatre industry, he had an opinion that Marathi Marathi audience rather, appreciate simple stories and they believe in simplicity, whereas Gujarati audience is expecting more and more. They want more thrill and more this. So what is your take on that, sir?
No. I think there is no, the basis of difference is not simplicity and lack of it. The basis is that Gujarati producers are trying to play very safe, and they are forcing the directors and the actors also to do the same kind of plays. They find safety in just sticking to a very old, hackneyed way of doing theatre, which is these family comedies, as I say, and they do not risk their money to come up with something to kind of shake the audience out of their sleep. Okay, this is also possible on stage. Why don't you take a look at this? So a little bit of a manomanthan with Manoranjan is required. That manomanthan is not happening, and only amusement is happening. This is not even an entertainment, according to me. So my view is very bleak, and I think the trap that Gujarati producers have fallen into is to pandering to these sold out shows. If they were not there,
Hmm.
and if every show was a risk, at least you would say that, okay, let me take a risk about things that I believe in, that people should be watching. So it is a pioneering kind of an effort. It will not yield results right tomorrow, but maybe over a period of 1, 2, 3 years. But that sort of a long-term vision is not there in the producers right now.
So while I was studying about you and your work, I came across this one interview wherein you have mentioned that maybe you are now a little done with doing fatherly roles
Yeah.
and parent roles. So, sir, I want to hear it from you directly. Ki, how do you want a Gen Z kid to look at you, and what keeps your passion alive in acting? Till date. So, how do you want us to look at you?
Yeah. So I see, with the advent of OTT, I do believe that stories about ordinary people, uh, put in extraordinary circumstances, are now becoming more acceptable. So I would rather look forward to doing roles which are not, very, kind of, how shall I say, very monochromatic, very two-dimensional. Heroine's father, hero's father. I would like to step out of that and work and tackle characters which are more complex, and which now audiences are geared up to see. The Gen Z, for example, I do believe that I did a web series called The Permanent Roommates. I played the father of the hero in that. But that character is still remembered by people who are now 18, 19, or 20 years old, who had watched it when they were 11 or 12 years old. They still remember me that way. You know, so I would be a man just whom you pass on the street. Maybe I would love to play characters which are of this present world. So if I am of this present world, with which the world that Gen Z is also tuned into, then as a part of this world, they would definitely, look at me as a, oh, okay, ये इस दुनिया का है. And it's not some totally, dream world, a bubble world where nothing has, it has no connection with reality of what you the reality of walking down on the street right now. So I'd I'd rather play a man who takes 40 seconds in order to cross a crowded, traffic-filled street, than a man who traverses in the back seat of a BMW, and reaches from point A to point B. Both the points are not really on the map of Bombay or this country. So I would like to play real characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, sir, from Gandhi to Sector 36, one of your most recent and I would say a very different work in Sector 36, how do you blend yourself, into different characters? How difficult or how easy it is for you to do that?
As I mentioned earlier, empathy. As I mentioned earlier, the need to turn into a witness, uh, and not merely projecting your own set of likes and dislikes, or do's and don'ts, or morality. Uh, that sort of a very clear-headed empathy would help me quite a lot in order to tackle any character, whether it be a character of Sector 36 or Gandhi, my father.
Gandhi, my
That's how I would look at it.
You have always mentioned, sir, that Gandhi, my father, and playing Gandhi is one of the roles that was, the most closest to you as a project, as a film. So while you were studying for that film or maybe preparing, did your personal opinion about Gandhi also change? Like, did you come to know a lot of different things about
No,
him?
I think my opinion was reinforced, I should say.
Oh.
I always believed in Gandhi to be a man who could speak the truth no matter what, who could admit to his own mistakes very publicly, no matter the humongous, huge mistake it could be, who didn't shirk from changing his view when new information came to light, and say that yes, I was wrong in thinking that way. So, and secondly, this film didn't, you know, result into my studying about Gandhi, poring over his Atma Katha, nothing like that. This film was more about his relationship with his son, and fortunately, both the father and the son wrote very public letters to each other, or at least Gandhiji, all his most private correspondence was also part of the public archives. So I I read those letters in order to get the insights about what must be going on inside his mind when he said anything about Harilal, or about this country in general. So that way it was quite it was a reinforcement, I would say, not a change.
But so you mentioned about stepping out of your shoes and getting into somebody else's shoes. So were you in some kind of a pressure, like you are playing the father of the nation? So getting out of your shoes and stepping in his shoes, was there some pressure or some tension, or while you adopted that role?
No, not a pressure as such, because thankfully my director was quite helpful in that. He wanted me to play the Gandhi that was within those pages of the script that was there. Anything and everything that was required was contained in that script. So if one could remain faithful to the script, one would be able to step into Gandhi's shoes. And in this particular case, it was not a question of stepping out of my shoes and stepping into the shoes of some another person. As far as Gandhi is concerned, I had to empty my sense of self out of myself totally. My own memory of my past, my regrets, my guilts, my euphorias, anything that was connected with the self had to go. I had to drop all that baggage and become an empty vessel in which that character would choose whether it would want to come and sit inside or not. What I had to offer was only an empty shell. And the more empty and scrubbed clean that I would be, the more the character of Gandhi would shine through. So I was more of a medium, you know. I was not a person trying to become another person. It was much more deeper than that and indescribable that way. Though I'm trying to describe it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, sir, you won the national award for the best supporting actor. So, after winning that award, how did it impact, your career? Or maybe rather, if we see from a general perspective, if any actor once they win a national award, how does it change their career? What kind of impact does it have? How do people see you differently?
No, see, they do. Uh, I think national awards are those awards which, uh, at least per se, from the outside appearance, they are the ones which cannot be negotiated. So that way, the credibility of those awards is much higher. And I would say that industry has been always very, it has been kind to me. People do look towards me as a very dependable actor, very versatile. They have come to me with other, many different characters to play also. And so that, impression or that opinion further deepened by this, I
By the
should
award.
say. Yeah, yeah.
So you have also worked, done a lot of international work. So how different it is, or maybe rather, I would put it in that way that what is your preference? You rather like working internationally or maybe working more in the Indian
No,
context?
if one takes the rate of exchange into account, I would prefer working internationally. Uh, you know, internationally, uh, but that is not the reason why one should seek exposure
Hmm.
internationally. The reason is you get exposed to a very different style of working,
Hmm.
much more professional. Of
Hmm.
course, now Indian scenario also is rapidly changing
Hmm.
because the interaction between international projects happening in India, Indian projects happening abroad,
Hmm.
all that is increasing. So we are leveling up, but the sense of professionalism. You see, our way of working, let's say 20 years ago, was very different,
Hmm.
or maybe 30 years ago. But I've been doing international work since 2011. It's 15 years since I've been, my first international film I did, it was an Australian producer.
Hmm.
And we did a film called Save Your Legs.
Hmm.
That was in 2011.
Hmm.
Uh, of course, then a lot of other stuff also happened. I did uh, a web series on Netflix, which is quite, well known. Uh, Wachowski siblings, the creators of the Matrix trilogy,
Hmm.
they had made a series called Sense8.
Hmm.
So I was there in the first two seasons of that. I've also worked with people like Gurinder Chadda,
Hmm.
uh, you know Viceroy's House, or a Disney film called The Million Dollar Arm.
Hmm.
Worked with John Hamm and Alan Arkin in that. So what one sees is that their production is much more methodical.
Hmm.
It's much more, their recruiting of talent is much more professionally done.
Hmm.
Uh, it is not casually done. It is
Hmm.
not very, like chalta hai hota hai kind of an attitude.
Hmm.
But of course, all this is fueled by a lot of money.
Hmm.
So they are able to afford excellence.
Hmm.
Now, in the Indian context, also that has to now come in,
Hmm.
because actors, writers,
Hmm.
they are not really given their due. That's what I believe.
Hmm.
I'm not talking about the film stars.
Hmm.
I am talking about a very major chunk of actors who do all sorts of character acting,
Hmm.
but those who are not really compensated so well
Hmm.
as they would be rather, abroad. Because they see them as valuable.
Hmm.
See, here what happens is, I think a major chunk of the entire production's budget is taken away by the leading man and the leading lady.
Hmm.
Now that has to change, and it has started changing. I do believe that now.
Hmm.
So right now, working in India is also as pleasurable, I should say, as working abroad. It's only that when you work abroad, you come into touch with a lot of different, people.
Hmm.
Most of them are trained in some school or the other. Most of them, their, for example, one of the pet peeves that some of my directors have with me is that I don't do enough homework.
Hmm.
And I sometimes believe that homework is done in a very different way, in a very tactile way inside you.
Hmm.
One need not open up the script and start mugging up the lines. Whereas the best of the actors abroad would say, you should know all your lines before you come
Hmm.
on the set.
Hmm.
And I somehow am not able to see merit in that personally,
Okay.
because I do believe that when you play the scene
Hmm.
in a film, you don't play the entire film. You play the scene,
Hmm.
and when you play that scene, you should at least be aware of what has happened before and what is going to happen again then,
Hmm.
and yet you just play the scene, you play the moment. And the more believable and truthful that you can make that moment as an actor is your test in front of the camera. So, so there are many things that that can be perceived as lacking in me. But then I do have my compensating mechanisms also. So I must be doing something good to last out so many years.
For sure. So 20 years in the industry and more than 50 years of experience, there is a lot more. You are humble enough to, maybe take it that way, I would say. But sir, you are, I would say, one of the rare examples who has not just worked in maybe theater or films, but also daily soap, OTT, worked internationally across. So coming back to the Indian context, what kind of stories do you think that these mediums should now have, or what according to you are the audience looking at more and more?
No, I think the audiences and, with the advent of OTT, we are going to have niche audiences for niche kind of work. And uh, general entertainment channels that are there on our television are passe. So all kinds of stories, whether it's any genre, horror, comedy, drama, adventure, biopics, everything which can tell the story of the human condition, which can tell the stories of human dilemmas, which can tell the story of the human challenges and endeavors. They all are now the grist to the mill. They are all now raw material for good content on OTT. So, as I said before, in context of being an actor, I would say that the there has been an explosion in the number of stories, the kind of stories, the different kinds of stories that are now coming up for attention of the audience. And they buy there. They go to the marketplace and they are seeking eyeballs. But what has also happened is we are also pandering to, for example, you have now a phenomena of vertical series which has only 3 minute worth of episode, and there are 30 episodes of 3 minutes each, and the story has to have 30 hooks instead of just 4 hooks in a 2 hour movie. And so the nature of telling stories, how you tell the story, that has changed. The story may remain the same, but if I were to make a vertical series on Ramayana, so what are the hooks? Every 3 minute I need a hook for the man to subscribe to this next episode and see it. So there has been a total disruption in the method of storytelling. And that is very interesting for me. I think the most interesting job right now is not being an actor, but probably a screenplay writer. Yeah.
Okay. So we have a rapid fire round also as
Tell
a
me.
part of our show. So whatever comes to your mind first, as soon as we ask the question, you can maybe answer that. So one word that defines acting for you.
Sublimation.
Oh, okay. So what do you prefer? Maybe I know the answer, but still, stage or screen?
Well, stage.
That is the answer that most of the theater artists have given.
Yeah.
So they prefer stage any day. Okay. What is one misconception about that people have about actors?
The one misconception that people have about actors is uh, that despite the economic hardships, it's like what people don't get about actors is what makes them tick. Whether it is only merely the figure on the check, or whether it is some creative thing that they carry home. You know, uh, not many producers and directors realize this, especially in films, of what makes an actor, what makes an actor go for a particular role and not go for one. That internal mechanism people don't get. And the misconception is कि अरे इतना पैसा दे दो वो कर लेगा,
हाँ.
ऐसा नहीं है.
Okay. So they do not understand the real that goes internally.
Motivation as to why an actor would say yes to a
Oh,
role and why not.
okay, okay. So producing plays or only acting?
No, I think I have dabbled in both and I would prefer acting.
Only acting. Okay. A role that is closest to your heart.
Well, there are a lot of good roles that I've done and not just one singling out. But of course, obviously, Gandhi, in Gandhi, my father makes the grade. Second is a role that I did on a completely opposite direction. Style or Ajab Prem Ki Gajab Kahani. That those were great characters to play. Permanent Roommates is another great character that I played. Narsi Mehta, I played Narsi Mehta in a Gujarati TV serial in 1990-91 on the same poet Narsi Mehta of Gujarat. That was one of the best outings that I had. Uh, so yeah, many exemplary characters. Ketan Mehta's Rang Rasiya. I played a very dharma, very fundamentally, religious kind of a man who is against
Okay.
Raja Ravi Verma. That was a good character. Kahani with Vidya Balan. That was one very small but a very, very interesting cameo. So, a lot of good characters, yes.
If not an actor or maybe a CA also, if you have ever given it a thought कि अगर मैं ये दोनों नहीं होता तो शायद कुछ और, so what is that one weird or out of the box dream or career that you would want to
No, I would
pursue?
have been a singer.
A singer.
Yeah, yeah, because I have a ear for tone. सुर क्या है वो मुझे मालूम है. And but I would have had to learn and do a lot of riyaz. Gujaratis are not, they are notorious for not doing riyaz and wanting to get on stage as soon as they know their sa. But I would not have done that. I would not have done that.
But do you plan to pursue singing?
No, not really. I mean, uh, uh, singing for one's supper. I mean, I'm already acting for my supper. So, and acting, I do believe I have a long way to go as far as exploring acting is concerned also. I still am looking forward to great roles and, different ones and testing myself, challenging myself, getting out of my comfort zone as an actor.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward more to that.
Yeah, and that's where the next question is, what is that one role that you still aspire to do?
I would love to do an out and out black, character. I've done shades of grey. Maybe I've done. Rajkumar Santoshi had cast me as the villain in Halla Bol opposite Ajay Devgan. I was playing the chief minister of a state then. But Sector 36 was another grey role that I did. But I would like to, uh, you know, play a very bad man.
Okay. But we are so used to, even I have grown up, watching Ajab Prem Ki Gajab Kahani, or even for that matter, your role with Shahid Kapoor. But, maybe, yeah, that is true that we sometimes expect it from the actors that, if somebody is seen in a fatherly
So
role.
you see, your perception becomes my prison.
Yeah, true. That's true. So maybe I have to release all the actors from the prisons in my mind.
Exactly.
Okay. So, what is the hardest part of being an actor, sir?
See, though making a film, staging a play, they are supposed to be teamworks. Where if one particular person in the team doesn't perform his or her role effectively, the entire team suffers, the entire production suffers. But actors, even though they are in the middle of so many people while shooting also, they are on an island of their own. Because they are constantly you know, engaged in presenting the character, in making the character present there and not merely performing it. There are certain times when one is struggling with the emotional temperature of that scene or the emotional journey of that character and how that scene fits in that. From which point A to which point B I'm going. That travel. Of course, a director can help you there quite a lot. Firstly, the script writer can make your travel very easy. But then, uh, to make that moment come alive is only an actor's job. No one can actually reach inside him and
Tweak it.
chop and change in order to bring out the performance. He only has to do it. That loneliness, that solitude also, I would say, is the most hardest part of being an actor, that not many people appreciate it immediately.
True. Okay. One memory that you still use for acting during an emotional scene, a personal memory maybe.
Well, people, I mean, I have had traumatic moments in my life. So I have been, guilty of using them in order to,
Create emotion.
yeah, yeah. Uh, because after all, in front of camera, what you are doing is presenting a slice of life. So there is no way that it can be different than your own life. Of course, then there are points where you depart from your own reality and launch yourself into totally without any map into that sky of imagination, and use your imagination for that. So it's not always that any sense memory of or muscle memory or emotional memory, it has to happen in the past for you to
Visualize or imagine.
to visualize any emotion on the screen. It can help. It can probably help to, to give you a point of departure. You depart from there and you launch for.
Oh. So you worked with Ranbir Kapoor, Shahid Kapoor, and even maybe Akshay Kumar for that matter in entertainment. So, is there any special story or some incident that you would want to share, wherein in one of these with these stars that you were there, and there was some moment that still stays with you till date?
When you mentioned Akshay Kumar, and then this question, I realized that, yeah, Akshay had played a prank on me. Akshay is known for playing pranks, and we were shooting for a film called Joker. And we were in a remote area, just 20 kilometers away from Chandigarh. And in one of the schedules, my partner, who is an architect, she had decided to come and visit me on the set. And uh, there was a song picturization involving all of us. And Farah was down. Shirish Kundar was, Farah's husband, was directing the film. Farah was the choreographer, Farah Khan. And she was down choreographing it. Rehearsals were going on. What Akshay did is not to call me in for the rehearsal. And he created an atmosphere that it is only because of me that the shot has been delayed. But the trick was never to inform me that the shot has been planned. And then Anaita, my partner, she was there in my makeup van, my trailer. She was just sitting, we were talking. I was waiting to be called for the shot. And I was all ready. But no one was coming to call me. And then, of course, the call came. And by the time I came, Farah said, okay, Darshanji, the first shot we are going to take is you dancing with Akshay and with the other character. The younger brother's role was, I think, that very good Marathi actor. I forget his name. but he played the younger brother to Akshay's character,
Hmm.
and I was supposed to dance with them, being their father,
Hmm.
and I was supposed to have my back to the camera.
Hmm.
That was also a plan of the planned prank. And Akshay, what he did is he wrote on a piece of paper, "I am late because of the architect." Okay. And then he called me. Yeah, he slapped, बैक स्लैप करते हैं ना, अरे
हाँ.
क्या दर्शन जी आप लेट आ गए, हम सब तो यहाँ खड़े हैं। मैंने बोला यार मुझे किसी ने बताया नहीं कि शॉट चालू है। अरे नहीं नहीं आइए आइए, एंड ही स्टक इट बिहाइंड माय बैक. And then they took that shot with that thing clearly written on my back, and then everyone was laughing. And I didn't realize why. But then that is that was a very elaborate prank that they played on me. And I was so embarrassed. But then the point is that they had deliberately kept me away. And then Shirish also said, "Sir, itna late ho gaya, sab ready hai aapke liye." I said, "Shirish, nobody called me." But then there was this, "I am late because of the architect."
So did your friends see that it was
No,
there?
no. Then I think they all had a great laugh, and then we proceeded
the
for
action.
shooting as usual. Yeah.
Okay. That these films are when you work in them, and these are the small maybe memories that stay with you more than the actual film.
Yes,
These
absolutely,
actors, these small
absolutely.
things. I remember you also sharing one incident with Ranveer Kapoor while you were in Ooty, and he not letting you come back to Mumbai.
Yeah. Every time when he said, "No, no, आप आज नहीं जाने वाले हैं," something occurred where I couldn't leave and come back to Bombay. So on the day of my travel back, I would see to it that I do not interact with him. He's nowhere around me. I am nowhere around him. क्योंकि अगर उसके मुंह से निकल गया कि नहीं, लेकिन दर्शन जी आज कैसे जाएंगे आप, आज तो नहीं जा सकते. It's twice it happened that my
Flight got
car
cancelled.
broke down. The flight got cancelled at Coimbatore airport. Twice it happened.
Okay. So coming to the last questions of today, you are someone who's pursued a proper academic career into chartered accountancy also, but at the same time you are into acting as well. Now we are a media institute, and what would be your one message to all the aspiring media students? What would you tell them, because they are also about to step into this industry as various roles: filmmakers, directors, cinematographers, journalists. So
Yes,
what would
I think the technical fields, anything else except creative, like writing, even screenplay writing is something, it's of a craft. You can teach it. So it's a great thing for an institute to have screenplay courses also, where you can teach aspiring students for screenplay. So apart from acting, on which my view is very clear, apart from that, I think the best use you can make of your time in a media institute is to actually be a voracious reader, watch as much as content as much possible, try and understand how what fits in where, develop your arsenal of tools of craft. I think hone your craft as much as necessary, because talent is something that is God given. The way it will have to come out is through these, for example, my brain may be talented, but it needs my hands to do what my brain gives the command to. So that particular set of, so honing your craft is what should be the essential aim. And that, I think, an environment like an institution, academic institution, teaching things about that can go a great deal.
I must say, so I think this episode is going to be something that is going to help a lot of aspiring actors, especially because Sir's journey in itself is very inspiring, and the versatility, as I mentioned in the intro, wherein he has done so much of work across mediums, that his experience is something that is going to help a lot of students. And with that, I think it brings us to the end of this episode of Perspectives by DGMC. We hope today's conversation left you inspired and informed. A big thank you to you, sir, for taking out time and being there with us, and to all our valuable listeners for tuning in with us. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and remember that every perspective has the power to shape your journey. This is Sanman Udgikar signing off for today. Stay curious, stay connected. Thank you.